Coming up next on NSEN, the Major League Baseball playoffs are coming to an end as the World Series starts tonight. Our baseball analysts have a nice World Series preview for you to get you prepared.
Alrighty. It was another big weekend in the world of football. Stay tuned to see who the biggest winners and the biggest losers were this week in high school, college, and of course, pro football.
And it was a tough loss to the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raider football team as they faced the Marshall Thundering Herd on Friday night.
All those stories and more. NSEN starts tomorrow.
I think.
NSEN starts right now.
Right now.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Victor Benz.
And I'm Elijah Campbell. Welcome to NSEN. The Tennessee Titans squeaked out a win against the winless Cleveland Browns on Sunday by a final score of 12-9. The Titans got all they could handle from the Browns as both teams were held without a touchdown during regulation as well as overtime. The Titans struggled offensively to get anything going as they were outgained by the Browns 284-269. The silver lining, however, for the Titans was definitely the defensive performance. Former MTSU standout Kevin Byard had the game of his career as he recorded 3 interceptions to go along with 4 tackles and 1 tackle for a loss during the game. The Titans will have a bye week this weekend, and their next action will be at home against the Baltimore Ravens on November the 5th.
Yeah, big ups to MT football on that one.
Made the show.
Well, only 1 week into the NBA season, the Phoenix Suns have already plenty of controversy taking over the headlines. After starting off the season 0-3, which included 2 losses by over 40 points, head coach Earl Watson was fired on Sunday. Right now, the Suns have appointed Jay Triano as the interim head coach. Also, starting point guard Eric Bledsoe tweeted, "I don't want to be here," which many fans took as him saying he wants a trade. Bledsoe has since said the tweet was actually in reference to wanting to leave the beauty shop.
Well, going from one bad start with the Phoenix Suns to the exact opposite, a great start from the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies have won their first 3 games of the NBA season and look to be a serious spoiler in the NBA's Western Conference. The Grizzlies started off with a 103-91 win against the New Orleans Pelicans at home, followed by a shocking 111-101 upset against the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors. The Grizzlies' early success hasn't been restricted to the friendly confines of the FedEx Forum as they defeated the Houston Rockets at the Toyota Center last night by a score of 98-90. The Grind City Grizz have been led by center Marc Gasol, who is averaging 24 points and 10 rebounds through the first 3 games of the season. It's a pretty good start there, Vic.
Hey, I love to see my city thrive any way possible. More early season news out the NBA as the Cleveland Cavaliers have already shook up their starting 5. 12-time All-Star Dwayne Wade will now be coming off of the bench behind J.R. Smith in the shooting guard position. D-Wade took the starting spot from Smith to start the year off when he was acquired this offseason, which reportedly upset Smith. The lineup change came after Wade came to head coach Tyronn Lue and said he wanted to come off the bench. This new starting 5 will be put to the test for the first time tonight as the Cavs are currently facing off against D-Wade's old team, the Chicago Bulls.
After that loss they had to the Magic Saturday, it's about time they mixed it up a little bit.
Something had to give.
But still ahead on NSEN. Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. We've got your high school football update.
And MTSU struggled this weekend. We've got the scores for you. So right after these messages, come right back.
Chef Patty here. Why should you include avocados as part of your family's balanced diet? It's as simple as
1, 2, 3.
Number 1.
Avocados fill you up.
Avocados contain unsaturated fats, good fats your body needs to help with the absorption of key nutrients.
Me hungry right now.
Number 2.
Avocados are good for you.
Avocados are naturally cholesterol and sodium free, plus they contain nearly 20 vitamins and nutrients.
Me need vitamins and nutrients, and number 3, avocado delicious.
Try avocados in place of ingredients higher in saturated fat. Avocados taste great in sandwiches, salads, and even in baked goods like cookies.
Avocado cookies? This match made in heaven.
This is your new kitten, or your new puppy. Every day, 70,000 puppies and kittens just like them are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of pet owners say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Well, it turns out those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number. 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddle or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more, fix at month 4.
Welcome back, everybody, to NSEN.
Well, Vic, it's another Friday past, another great slate of high school football games. And if I'm not mistaken, it's almost playoff time in Tennessee.
Yeah, just about. It looks like the season's starting to wrap up. And I know one person can tell us a little bit more about that. David?
Thank you, Vic. The Blackman High are blazing down to face the Warriors of Riverdale on Friday night. The 7-2 Blaze will play on the field of the 8-1 Warriors. This is one of the biggest rivalries in the county, as they are 8-8 since 2004. Blackman and Riverdale both lost to Oakland, but Blackman has one of... Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Blackman has one other loss to Cookeville. This will be a battle for second place in the district. Who do you think will win? Let us know on Twitter at NSEN__MTDN. Now going back to last Friday, the Oakland Patriots had Siegel seeing stars after a 50-14 victory. The Patriots and Stars had a close one in the first quarter, but after the senior Jaron Rooks took off, Rooks had 5 touchdowns on the night with 182 yards off of 17 carries and had 27 yards of reception. With 36 unanswered points in the last 3 quarters, Siegel own Leland Wildett 142 yards off of 22 carries with a touchdown. Oakland will face Cookeville, who is one of the top teams in the Region 3 district. Will the Patriots keep that undefeated season going, or will Cookeville get the upset? After winning their regional tournament and their sub-state game over the weekend, one team is state-bound with momentum. Reporter Lamonte Solomon tells us exactly what it is pushing this team.
Semifinals last year, the Oakland High Lady Patriots soccer team have rallied this year to earn their ticket to kick it at the state tournament. Their last state appearance was in 2014, where they fell short to Clarksville. The Patriots are returning now and are saying that it's all on them.
At this point, it really just comes down to how well we play. We have to focus on our own team, our own self, and look at what we can do within ourselves.
The Lady Patriots have one player in double digits for goals and another player in double digits for assists. But the girls say another huge part is their support.
We definitely have the best coaches, and we definitely have the best support from our administration and our faculty to help us get where we are.
The ladies plan on taking what they're learning, their momentum, and kicking their way to another championship. Right out of the foot. With News 3, I'm Lamonte Solomon.
The state tournament will be held at Siegel Park tomorrow, where the Patriots will face Collierville at 4 p.m. on Field 1. Well, that's all for this week in high school sports. I'm about to toss it back to the desk.
Thanks, David. Coming back up on NSEN, the World Series stage is set, Vic. Astros, Dodgers. Who's got the upper hand?
That is definitely going to be a good discussion. Also, we have your latest news and scores from the world of college sports as our college reporter Lamonte Solomon fills us in on all this action this weekend.
And recently, we have just taken NSEN to a whole new platform as we have hit up the Twitter sphere.
That's right, Elijah. Our viewers can now tweet into the show, and we will rely on our air rather than be answering questions or simply saying happy birthday. So send in your tweets for a chance to see yourself on the big screen.
Stay with us, sports fans.
Everyone deserves to have a decent place to live.
Everyone. Todos.
When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home, they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
Para po sa pamilya ko.
Por mi familia.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own. Through shelter, we empower. Visit habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Time is the one thing that we want more of as a St. Jude parent. Without the donors, I wouldn't have my Audrey.
El que St. Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we gonna do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
They take care of our housing. They take care of our food. In addition to the best medical treatment that my daughter could ever have. So it allows me to focus on my daughter and getting her better.
Your seat cushion can be used to grant wishes.
Who said that? Hello?
Really can, you know.
You talking to me?
Sure am. Because the airline miles you earn and donate to Make-A-Wish can help send thousands of kids on their wish trips. So donate to Make-A-Wish today.
You really should, you know. You really should.
And give wishes wings. Because wishes work wonders.
Welcome back to NSEN. Well, Vic, the high school kids weren't the only ones having fun this weekend. We had some action in the college sports world as well.
We definitely had a lot of action around the country and even here at MTSU's campus. And I know Lamonte Solomon has a bit more to tell us about that. So, Lamonte, take it away.
Well, thanks, you guys. Over the weekend, it was the annual blackout game for the MTSU Blue Raiders against the Marshall Thundering Herd, and a game that didn't turn out so good for one team. Early in the second quarter, quarterback John Urza threw a pick six to the Herd's Artis Johnson, who forced the Blue Raiders in a tough hole. Despite the pick six, Urza still pulled out 220 passing yards, along with a touchdown that went to Richie James, who got injured later on in the game. The Blue Raiders fought hard, but ultimately fell short with a score of 38-10. This week, they are on a bye week and plan to regroup and adjust before hosting UTEP Saturday, November the 4th, where kickoff is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Basketball season is slowly approaching, but in some areas, it's causing some madness. This Thursday, MTSU is having its annual Murphy Madness event showcasing their basketball talent to the fans. While the event will be hosted by comedian and MTSU alumni T.C. Cope, players will take part in a dunk contest, three-point shootout, and along with a skills competition. Later on in the event, a lucky fan will have the opportunity to win a grand prize if they are fortunate enough to hit the half-court jump shot. Murphy Madness will start at 6 o'clock p.m. and will be held in the Murphy Center. Well, that's all I have for sports. Now back to you all at the desk.
Thanks, Marthany. Coming up next on NSEN, take me out to the ball game, preferably the World Series. But we still have baseball analysis coming back, and I think we have some fantasy football to get to as well, speaking of Marthany.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And keep sending in those tweets reports so Marthany Sanders and Kevin Bridges will not only be reading your tweets, but also breaking down some of the top college football games that are coming up. But at the break, don't leave us just yet.
I never imagined this would be your first home.
I feel powerless. I can't stop asking why us.
I just want to hug and kiss you and never let go.
This is the hardest thing we've ever faced. I know it's even harder on you.
You are my little fighter. We're here with you.
I believe in you. Just 4 simple words. But to a child in need, they mean the world. When you support a child through Save the Children, you're saying, I believe in you. Visit sponsor.savethechildren.org/believe today.
We cure 80% of children with cancer. If you think about that, I mean, go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. There's one thing we're focused on here at St. Jude, and that's beating this thing.
To pose, now sure. She makes the sun seem deep in the North Sea.
All right, thank you. Welcome back to NSEN. I'm Anthony Sanders here with me, Kevin Bridges. Thanks for joining us here for the new Center Stage segment, which highlights that we have coming up for the top upcoming college football games for this next weekend. What's up, Kevin?
That's right, Martha. Well, first off, we're going to start with Penn State and Ohio State. I know that's a big matchup, number 2 versus number 6. And, you know, Penn State, best defense in the country. Nothing's going to stop them. I mean, they're ranked number 1 overall, only giving up 9 points a game, which is absolutely amazing. But then on the other side of the ball, you have Ohio State, who's the number 1 offensive in the country, averaging 47 points a game. So this is a classic matchup of offense versus defense. But defense wins championships, so I'm rolling with Penn State in this one.
You're right, and I think the biggest X factor in this is going to be the difference of location. Last year, as you saw on the screen, the game was down there in Happy Valley. They got that block field goal, which was ultimately the difference in the game. Penn State at that point was unranked, and Ohio State was number 2. So this one right here now is a top 10 matchup. A whole lot of playoff implications going on. But when it comes down to it, I just think it's too much Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
That defense for Ohio State is not as experienced as it was last year. I like J.C. Barrett. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be close just like last year. But I'm leaning more towards Penn State to keep the undefeated streak going and get another win in Big Ten play.
Yep. Definitely a Heisman candidate for a reason.
That's right. Now, next up on our list is another top 25 matchup, but we're going to go down to Big 12 country. Number 4, TCU, going against newly ranked, top 25 ranked Iowa State. They're sitting at 5-2 on the season. Who'd have thought back then in August that Iowa State would be 5-2?
Not me.
So who you have in this one, Kevin?
I actually have Iowa State with the big upset over TCU. They're great at home. I mean, they're 3-1 in conference play. They're rolling right now. They're hot. I mean, TCU is still a very great team. They have a great defense as well. And even though Kevontae Turpin is the real deal, I just see Iowa State just coming up with the big upset for this one.
I don't know about the upset, because here's my thing about this game right here. Iowa State, like we said, 5-2 for the first time in almost, like, I want to say 30-something years. First time being ranked in the top 25 in a long time. Okay, this is the first time in a while that you have been in a real big game here. You're with the pressure is on you a lot. And I'm looking at Iowa State quarterback Jacob Park, over 1,100 yards passing, 9 touchdowns on the year. And I'm also looking at running back David Montgomery, who's their team's leading rusher. What are the Cyclones going to do once they get hit in the mouth? Because Kenny Hill and Turbin and the rest of those guys from TCU, they're going to come with it, and Gary Patterson likes to put his hat on defense. So I'm looking at what Iowa State is going to do if their back's against the wall, because they're now the hunted being in this top 25. Yep. And our last final game right here on the list, classic game right here, North Carolina State, Notre Dame, a top 15 matchup right here. North Carolina State ranked in at 14, Notre Dame at number 9. Once again, huge playoff implications right here. I like Notre Dame in this one just because it's at home in South Bend. I think they'll find a way to pull it out. NC State is great defensively, but so is Notre Dame. And I like Notre Dame right now just because of the way that quarterback they're playing. He's taking care of the ball, not turning the ball over. This is probably like the best quarterback play they had in a while. Even Deshaun Kaiser last year, they struggled a lot. So this is the best quarterback play they kind of had since Everett Golson was down there a couple of years ago. Notre Dame is quietly sneaking up in them rankings. If they keep on winning, they can find their way in that top 4 and maybe take somebody's playoff bid.
Yeah, I agree with you, Martha. Notre Dame is 6th in the nation in rushing yards, and I don't see NC State being able to stop the rushing attack from Notre Dame, even though they are undefeated in conference play and had good wins against Florida State and Louisville early in the season. But right now, Notre Dame is just rolling, averaging 41 points a game, so I really don't see them folding under pressure on this one. Yeah. And finally, we're going to take a look at what's going on with our Twitter feed.
That's right. All right, so we're going on to our Twitter feed. First question we got right here coming from Vic Ross, Vic _325. It says, with the Grizzlies starting off at 3-0 in the season, including wins over the Warriors, Rockets, the first game of the year, the Pelicans, are they a serious threat in the West? What's your take on that, Kev?
They are absolutely a serious threat. They've always been a serious threat in the West, even when teams like Golden State were rolling and they were hot. Memphis always found a way to just come in and wreak havoc, especially at home in the grindhouse. I know we lost a few pieces with Tony Allen and Zebo, but, I mean, they're still going to find a way to get it done. They got a lot younger, adding Tyreek Evans and Ben McLemore. So I feel like they're going to really rally around each other and have a great season.
Yeah, I mean, I think they starting off, yes, good. The 2 out of those 3 wins are very great. 2 of them came from your division, actually, against Houston and New Orleans. And it's also a plus to beat the defending champions. It's still early in the season for me. 82 games, there's 79 more to go. Top 3, I'm not sure yet. Once we get to games 20, 25, you know, there's a couple times where they actually maybe lose a couple of games, because let's be real, no one's going 82-0 here. So let's see what happens if they get off to a bad losing streak or if someone gets hurt. Hopefully nobody gets hurt, but we'll see how the Grizzlies are. I'm not quite sold on them being a top serious threat just yet in the Western Conference.
We'll have to see.
All right, moving on to our next question here. We got Sky High Sanders. I think, that might be a cousin of mine or something. Let's see, what did he say right here? He says, is the University of Memphis the best football program in the state of Tennessee? We even got a guy already saying, come on now, so he already says no. I'll take that one first.
Go ahead.
I mean, guys, 6-1 on the year. 6-1 on the year. 4th straight year in a row being bowl eligible, first time in school history. I mean, but if you look at as far as right now, I would have to say, I mean, yes, as far as the bigger programs. Now, there's some, smaller schools that's consistently been good, but I mean, right now, Tennessee's kind of struggling. Bush Jones, they can't find a way to win games. MTSU is struggling, injured left and right. Vanderbilt started out hot, but now I don't remember. They haven't won since, I think, the Kansas State game and the whole "We Want Bama" chant, which that's a whole nother subject we'll get on. So right now, yes, overall, I don't know, but I mean, you can't argue the record, 6-1.
Yeah. Memphis is definitely the best football program right now. Riley Ferguson having an amazing year. And I would usually give it to the Vols, but we've seen how that's going. So Bush Jones is on the way out, and Memphis is on the way up.
All right, moving on here. So we got @Sappy_Wappy. That's a nice name right there. All right, it says, could Tennessee recruiting more in-state players help improve their football program? I'm going to let you take that one first, Kev.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. I mean, I see them recruiting heavily out of Tennessee. I think they're going to have to make some changes in the coaching staff for players to actually want to come there, because we have seen a little bit of turmoil in their front office so far. But I do believe that if they got maybe like a couple, 3 or 4, even 5-star prospects, it would definitely turn their program around really fast.
Well, I mean, they kind of recently have gotten a couple of big in-state recruits. I know Trey Smith out of University School in Jackson, #1 recruit a couple of years ago. That's in-state. I mean, so it started out, but I mean, you also got to look at that location there. They're in Knoxville. That's right there close to that borderline of Georgia. A lot of talented athletes right there. I mean, it's just kind of hard sometimes getting those. It shouldn't be as hard to get those in-state recruits, but I mean, definitely it definitely could improve. People to come to those games. They're already selling out 100,000 each week anyway. Yeah. So yeah, if you get more in-state players to come in, I think that improves the program a lot. But that's up to Bush Jones and company.
Another thing, I know we're in SEC country, so players might want to look to go outside and maybe not want to face those tough SEC schools. I know maybe that's a thing that's like in the back of their mind, knowing they're going to have to face an Alabama or Georgia or something like that, a tough team like that.
Moving on, we got a couple more here. Here we go, @Cam_A_G. She says, are the Philadelphia Eagles the best team in the NFC? You know what? I'm going to take this one. They look, I mean, besides from a couple of bad plays last night, Monday night against the Redskins, right now, they're looking pretty good. I mean, Carson Wentz, who would have thunk it? That, second year coming in, already leading that team. Doug Peterson got him coached up right. But, I mean, that's the way to go right now. If you want to get a young quarterback in, get him around somebody offensive-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, right now, think about it. Dallas is struggling. Atlanta has lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Seahawks always starting out slow. Aaron Rodgers is gone from the Packers. I mean, Minnesota, even though, yes, they're 5-2, they still have a whole lot of dilemmas at their quarterback position. So right now, they're the healthiest. So that to me, that makes them the best.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest factor health-wise, because I know, like you said, Minnesota's, they got Teddy Bridgewater back and Aaron Rodgers is gone. So I can't see anyone topping Philadelphia right now.
All right, last one here again from, let me see, who we got on this one? I think this is my cousin again, Sky High Sanders. Let's see. He says, can the MTSU football team make it to 6 wins? They're 3-5 on the season right now, 4 games left on the year. Who do you think? What do you think?
I think we can. We finally starting to get a little bit consistency. We're cleaning up turnovers. John Arzua is starting to put it together. As long as we cut down on turnovers and making sure we're playing team ball and just getting everyone on offense involved and not focusing on just one specific player, I think we'll be okay.
I mean, 3-5 on the year, 4 games left. You got a UTEP team that's struggling, a Charlotte team that I don't think hasn't won a game yet, or maybe just 1 win on the season. So those on paper 2 wins you should get. You get your starting quarterback back in Brent Stockstill after this bye week. The only thing my thing is that even before he got hurt, it doesn't matter who was at quarterback. That offensive line wasn't blocking anyone. Yeah. That's what scares me. Not enough receivers getting open. They forced the ball a lot to Richie James, way too much for my liking. So I don't care whether if it was John Azur or Brent Stockstill at quarterback. It was pretty tough for Brent to stay healthy, which is the reason why they're in this predicament right now. I mean, the 3 out of the 4 games is doable, and you can't rule out the Western Kentucky game. That's a rival. Yeah. You never really know. But it's been a while since they won up there in Bowling Green, so I'm a little worried about that one. But if they can find a way to – if they can get off the right foot and get their win against UTEP, go to Charlotte, get their win right there. They can't afford to slip up on a game that they shouldn't lose they already have done a couple of times this season. So we got one more here coming up. This is our very, very, very last one right here. Oh, this is a shout out right here from at Sappy_Wappy again. He said, hey, I need everybody to stop what you're doing.
Stop right now.
Okay, and go follow NSEN _MTDN.
Make that move.
Y'all need to make that follow. Hey, and he put all the schools in there. Middle Tennessee State, UT Chattanooga, UT Knox,
don't matter
Austin
who you
P.
Are. Come on.
Hey, UT Martin, Lane College, Nashville Community College. We don't care. Okay? Y'all need to go follow us in NSEN __. That's 2 underscores MTDN.
I believe that's all we have right now. And send it back to the desk.
Anthony, Kevin, I appreciate it. And Elijah, that Vic guy, he looked kind of familiar too. I know we had Martini's cousin on there, but he looked pretty familiar too.
But a long-lost twin, was he?
Might have been. I'll do a little research on that. But coming up, we still got to look at fantasy. So join us right back here after the break.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It started with the original care package and millions more like it, passed from hand to hand across land and sea to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need, Ways to make a real difference. Not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Welcome back to NSEN. Vic, I know I beat you in fantasy football this week, so asking how your fantasy football team did would be kind of mute, but how is that fantasy team?
Elijah, I thought we agreed before the show started that we weren't going to bring that up. We were just going to let Darius Horton take care of all fantasy talk for the day. Okay, so Darius, please take it.
All right, thanks, Vic. Appreciate that, and sorry if you lost this week. But anyway, I just wanted to say it's a lot going on in the world of fantasy football. I just want to talk to you guys about some things that maybe some players you should look out for, who are the top performers of the week, and also some matchups that you can probably look forward to next week in Week 8. So Amari Cooper has been the #1 story in fantasy football. He was sleeping in Week 1, but a week later against the tough Chiefs defense, he said, "Don't you guys forget about me." Cooper balled out this week, scoring 44 points off of 210 yards receiving. He also grabbed 2 touchdowns as well. So we got to give love to the quarterbacks, right? They're the leader of the team at the end of the day. Carson Wentz last night on Monday Night Football had one of the best games as a pro. The young man from North Dakota State threw 4 touchdowns and had over 200 yards passing in the win against the Redskins. He brought 31 points in the win. And remember how we talked about Amari Cooper earlier? So now we got to give love to his quarterback, Derek Carr. So those stats that he had earlier, we could just attribute them to him. Carr looked like the injury had never happened in the first place a couple weeks ago. He tallied up 30 points and he threw the ball well for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. He made the Chiefs' defense look like Swiss cheese, just like a good Lunchable sandwich. Lastly, let's talk about the running backs for Week 7. Ezekiel Elliott took the cake with the running back group this week against the San Francisco 49ers. Elliott had 41 points in the win, but what he did in the game was special. He had 147 yards along with 2 touchdowns. Week 8 has taught us a couple things that we need to look out for. So in matchups, one of the most obvious matchups this week is the Vikings defense going up against the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are a team that has 17 interceptions on the year, no matter if it's Kaiser, Hogan, or if it's Kessler. Shout out to Kevin Byard for getting them interceptions on them this week. But no shade thrown towards Cleveland. But their quarterbacks, like I said earlier, has thrown 17 interceptions. The Vikings defense may have a field day against the Browns, as they have the 3rd best rush defense in the NFL, allowing only 1 rushing touchdown. On the passing side of the ball, Everson Griffin is 3rd in the NFL with 9. And also with Joe Thomas, one of the best left tackles in pro football, sustaining an injury against the Titans, you can look for Griffin to have a really big game this week. A.J. Green is another good option to start this week. He's facing the Indianapolis Colts, who starting safety Malik Hooker got injured this week. And A.J. Green's 3-game touchdown streak was snapped against the Steelers this past week. So he's going to come out with vengeance against the Indianapolis Colts. Lastly, Drew Brees against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 16th ranked defense in total defense yards allowed this week. Drew Brees and the Saints are on a 4-game win streak and are looking pretty hot right about now. So they can easily torch the Bears defense. So now we're going to take it to Twitter and we're going to answer some questions about some fantasy football knowledge. All right, this is coming from Easy Money Sanders again. Man, he's just been everywhere on the show. So he asked, for fantasy, do I start Derek Carr against the Bills or Deshaun Watson against the Seahawks? Now, this is a really interesting matchup because both of these secondaries are really good. Both of the defenses are really good. And as far as looking into earlier before the show, this is actually one of the toss-up matchups is these quarterbacks against these great defenses. And I would have to slight the edge to who's ever playing the Bills. I'm sorry. I sort of forgot. Okay, yeah, Derek Carr. Yeah, I gotta slide it to Derek Carr a little bit because the Bills let Jameis Winston get 24 points on him this week. So, yeah, with that question being out the way, we'll take it to the next one. This is coming from David James. Nice guy. So who do I bench on fantasy? Kirk Cousins or Marcus Mariota? Well, considering that the Titans are on a bye this week, I think maybe Kirk Cousins should probably get that start since Marcus is on the bye and facing the Ravens. And yes, that is a nice gif right there. Do you like that? So we have another one from David James. Who would be a better pickup, Jonnu Smith or Chris Hogan? Now this is very interesting. Actually, I think Jonnu Smith would be a really good pickup for this one. I think Chris Hogan he's sort of like finding his place in New England, but he's looking good. The only reason why I might say Jonnu Smith is because the Ravens are coming against the Titans off the bye week. And so that gives him an extra week to learn the playbook. Since Delaney Walker's hurt, he's going to take that starting role. And we've seen what he did earlier this year. He's a really explosive tight end. He's a really explosive tight end, and I think that he's gonna honestly just explode on the scene coming up in week 9 after the bye week. And lastly, in case y'all haven't figured it out by now, what you guys need to do is follow NSEN _MTDN right now. Great content, and that is from the best teleprompter in the world, Rusty Ellis. So with all that being said, we'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Darius. With all your advice, I still don't think Vic's team's going to have a chance against anyone they play us. It was a rough week.
Do y'all want me to quit?
But coming up next on NSEN, and we still have more show to go. Take me out to the ball game, Vic. Preferably the Fall Classic, also known as the World Series. It's Rocktober, baby. We got some baseball analysis for you coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
El que San Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When St. Jude told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
And welcome back to NSEN. As we talked about earlier, the World Series is here. It's October, it's the Fall Classic, and we have all your coverage right here on NSEN when the Dodgers face the Astros. That game is currently going on right now, and the Dodgers are up 1-0.
Yeah, we have dueling dingers between Alex Bregman and Chris Taylor. Taylor leading off the Dodgers with a home run in the first inning, and Bregman hitting one recently to knot everything up. But before we go into our preview and analysis, let's kind of do a little NSEN awards, if you will. Starting off with the National League, I'll take the National League. I'm a National League guy, Reds fan. So starting off with the awards, I like Giancarlo Stanton for MVP. Now, granted, the Marlins were a terrible baseball team. However, when you have a 7.6 WAR, You hit 59 home runs, 132 RBI with a 1.007 OPS. It's really hard not to give you the award given to the best player in baseball. Cy Young, I like Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer led the NL in strikeouts, led pitchers in WAR. He also led pitchers in WHIP, which for some of you non-analytic people, walk, hits, per innings pitch, it's a pretty big stat. And the Nationals were able to win a division pretty easily. Double-digit games, they had a big lead throughout the year. So Scherzer's my Cy Young winner. Cody Bellinger for Rookie of the Year. Now, the guy didn't play the first month of the season. Wasn't going to play at all until Adrian Gonzalez got hurt, and he came out and hit 39 home runs. So the decision for NL Rookie of the Year is probably the easiest thing that I got to pick the entire awards. And for the Manager of the Year, as you saw, I like Craig Counsell. Counsell is the manager for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, last year, the Brewers only won 73 games. Terrible baseball team. This year, they improved a lot defensively, Calvin. And they were only a game away from making the playoffs. They were one game out going into the final weekend, as they end up winning 86 games and winning 13 more games than they did last year. So I got to give Counsell the nod for Manager of the Year in the National League. Now, what about the American League?
Well, I got to first tell you, I'm totally on board with you with Cody Bellinger. That was so significant that Adrian Gonzalez isn't even on the Dodgers World Series roster. But moving on to the American League, for MVP, I had to take Jose Altuve. Even though Aaron Judge had a stellar year, I think Altuve, with his 24 home runs, 346 batting average, and 410 on-base percentage, was the clear-cut choice. For Cy Young, I picked Corey Kluber. I loved him over Chris Sale because he averaged 7 innings per start and a 7.3 WAR. You just can't turn that down. He was dominant on one of the best teams in baseball with the Indians. For AL Manager of the Year, I had to go with Paul Molitor because he took the Twins to the wild card. This team wasn't expected to do anything. He took Miguel Sano, and then they traded for Jaime Garcia, and then traded him to the Yankees when they thought they weren't going to compete again, and he turned him into a wild card team. Even though they didn't win that game, I love what Paul Molitor did with the Twins this year. And for my Rookie of the Year, the obvious choice was the Aaron Judge. All rise. 52 home runs this year. I mean, he was in my MVP discussion. Picking him for Rookie of the Year was a shoo-in.
Yeah, it's close. And the funny thing about the Twins, too, and Paul Molitor winning Manager of the Year, is the Twins are the first team in Major League Baseball history that lost over 100 games the year prior to making the playoffs. So the Twins were worse than what the Brewers were. The Twins were an awful baseball team. Paul Molitor came in and did an incredible job of getting them where they need to be. But that's all we have for the awards. And now let's get to the World Series. Let's get to how we got to the World Series. Let's take it out to Game 5 between the Cubs and the Dodgers at Wrigley Field. Now, the Dodgers took 3 out of the first 4. Dodgers coming into this one up 3-1. Kershaw had a great series. Pitching staff was really good.
And we know the Cubs won last year. They were the favorites to come in this year, and the Dodgers took them out. I think that really pushes the Dodgers to the forefront as being favorites in the World Series. Here you go.
It does, and here you go. And the Dodgers didn't waste any time. Jose Quintana feeding one to Cody Bellinger as he rips one to right for a double. And that's going to score Chris Taylor, who's a co-MVP of the series, fun fact. And now the hero of Game 5 in the NLCS, Kiki Hernandez, hits a home run here to make it 2-0, but you'll see more of him later. And then the other co-MVP, Justin Turner, slaps one in the gap right here. And Ben Zobrist, who usually is a sure-handed fielder, has an error right there, and that scores Taylor. It's now 3-0 Dodgers. Still in the third inning. Bases juiced. It's that man again. It's Kiki Hernandez with a grand slam. That blows the game wide open. It's 7-0 in the third. And who is it? Why hit 2 home runs, Calvin, when you can just hit a third?
Boom. Big one from Kiki.
Big one out. And Kiki Hernandez with a hat trick, another home run. It's 11-1. Cubs down to their final out. Line out to shortstop, and the Cubs will not be repeating as Major League Baseball champions. And for the first time since 1988, the Los Angeles Dodgers have punched their ticket to the World Series.
That was one heck of a series. I really like the Dodgers in that one. Moving over to the American League, the Astros and the Yankees went 7 games in a dynamite series where the Astros won the first 2. The Yankees won 3 at Yankee Stadium, then the Astros won out at home again.
First time it's ever happened.
To the highlights, Houston's staff, led by Charlie Morton, shut down the Yankees, but Aaron Judge kept him in it in the second inning with this amazing catch, making his 6'7" frame was fully extended. Then Evan Gattis takes this high changeup out to left center for a bomb to make it 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Then my MVP candidate, Jose Altuve, goes Oppo Taco on one even Aaron Judge can't bring back to make it 2-0 Astros in the 5th. Then Brian McCann continues the Astros rally in the 5th with this 2 RBI double down the right field line to score Correa and Yuli Gurriel. Their rally continues in the 5th, and that's what's going to seal the deal for them. Then to close it out, Lance McCullers comes in and throws 24. You heard that right, 24 straight curveballs to punch Houston's ticket to the World Series. I really like what they're doing with McCullers on the back end. Really showed their guts in this series.
They really did. It's interesting to see an Astros-Dodgers World Series, too. This is the Astros' first trip to the Fall Classic since they were in the National League, where they got swept by the White Sox. And we have an incredible matchup here. This is about as much that you want out of a series in terms of having two teams with great pitching staffs, great bullpens, great lineups. But what are our X factors going into the series? Mine's got to be Yasiel Puig. Now, let's be real here. The Dodgers have it all. They pitch. They have an incredible bullpen that was improved throughout the trade deadline. And hitter-wise, batters 1 through 6 and 7 are as good as it gets in terms of hitting it for average, hitting for power. But when Yasiel Puig is swinging that bat, like the way he has been lately, and when he's having fun again, that's the thing. You see Yasiel Puig with his bat flip. You see him pumping up the crowd, doing his thing. Like, Puig is just the Energizer Bunny. He's always going. He's just a jolt of energy to a team that at the bottom end of your order you need to make a deep run in the playoffs. Last year for Yasiel Puig, he wasn't having much fun. He was sent down to Oklahoma City and he had to play in the minors. But now that he's kind of improved, he's having fun again. That's one thing Dodgers hitting coach has said, that he's having fun. He's loose. And when Yasiel Puig is loose and hitting for good average, hitting for power, and fielding with that strong arm he has in the outfield, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised you went with Puig here. Corey Seager's coming back off injury. He's on the roster. He's starting at shortstop tonight. Corey Seager's a guy who could be an MVP candidate and one of the prime shortstops in the game. Honestly, if I was picking that, I would pick Seager. But I had the Astros, and a lot of people would think Justin Verlander after they got him in late August. But I'm going Carlos Correa here as my X factor for the Astros in the World Series. This is a guy who missed 6 weeks of the regular season and only played in 109 games. He hit 24 home runs in that shortened season with a .394 weighted on-base average, a .315 batting average, and a .391 on-base percentage. This guy's a superstar in the making, and I think he's going to be what pushed the Astros over and get a World Series win in 7 games for the Astros. I like what they do on the back end. I think the Astros can pull this one out.
They've got a really good team, and I'm really excited for this series to start. And it's actually started tonight. We got an update. The Dodgers are up 3-1 on the Astros right now. But before we go any further, we have some tweets. We've been on this whole Twitter thing. We've kind of changed platforms. All right, and we got another tweet from the Sanders guy again. It's Martha's cousin. I don't know who it is.
This guy loves our show.
He loves the show. He's a #1 fan. But which bullpen do you guys like the best? I'm gonna start off with you because I already know who I got. If you had to pick a bullpen between these two teams, who you rolling with, Calvin?
I have to say the Dodgers. Kenley Jansen is the best closer in baseball. I don't think this guy would ever lose a save. I mean, obviously he has blown saves, but take blown saves for what they're worth. Kenley Jansen is the best reliever in baseball. One
of the best relievers we've seen in a long time, and it was really hard for me to not take him for Cy Young over Max Scherzer. Now, obviously, starting pitchers are going to get a little more love, but I'd take the Dodgers too, not just because of Jensen. They made a move. They made a couple moves during the trade deadline. Watson they got from Pittsburgh.
Yep, a lefty.
They have lefty, and they have a good mix of good left-hand throwers, right-hand throwers. It's just a deep bullpen. When your setup men are that good, it's really, you don't need Kershaw to throw like 7-8 innings a game. He can go 5 or 6, and you're still A-okay.
That really sets up the Dodgers well with their bullpen, but we're going to move on to some more tweets here. What do we have today?
All right, coming in from Big Game David Janes at NSEN __MTDN. Astros in 6, calling it. What do you think about that? I know you're leaning towards the Astros.
Well, I have to say, I agree with David. The Astros will win, but in 6 games, especially if the Dodgers continue to play like they are tonight when they're up 3-1, it's going to take 7. It's going to be a great one.
Home field advantage too. It's going to be tough to play in Los Angeles, and humidity is going to be a factor to heat. The starting temperature for first pitch day was over 100 degrees in October. And that's a factor to look at as well. But I personally like the Dodgers to win this thing in 7. The pitching's too good. Starting pitching's too good for both teams. They're both really good. But I think we have another tweet coming in as well.
Another one?
It's from the #1 teleprompter man east of the Mississippi. It is Rusty Ellis. How big will Chris Taylor be? And take this away, because I think he's had a little action tonight here, Calvin.
Didn't he lead off the game with a home run?
He sure did.
He sure did.
First batter of the game for the Dodgers. Guy smacks a home run out of the park, gives him a 1-0 lead. And can you imagine a better start for the Dodgers? He's going to be big, though. He was the co-MVP of the last series. Hit a couple of home runs, hit over 300 in the NLCS against the Cubs rotation. That is absolutely incredible. That you got Jake Arrieta, Jose Quintana, John Lester, John Lackey. Against a really good rotation, him and Justin Turner absolutely killed them. But Chris Taylor, especially because he's younger, Justin Taylor is a seasoned veteran. Justin Turner, pardon me, is a seasoned veteran and all-star. So the Chris Taylor, emergence is a little more surprising.
He's like a utility guy. I mean, you could put him in a couple different spots around the infield, maybe throw him in the outfield. That versatility is going to serve the Dodgers really well. And if he keeps hitting home runs, how can he not make a big impact?
Exactly. We have another tweet coming in from another familiar name. Tell me if you heard this one before. Vic Ross has a tweet. Could this possibly be the hottest fall classic of all time? It certainly is. I can't imagine any other World Series late in October where first pitch is 100 degrees. Nothing says fall classic quite like triple-digit temperatures and making it feel like July. So it has the looking to be the hottest in terms of not just temperature, but in terms of it being contested. It's going to be a hotly contested series. These are two great match teams, and it's going to be just really fun to watch.
I'll tell you what, I really don't envy them. It's about 60 degrees here in Murfreesboro right now. I really don't envy them. We have more tweets coming in, do we?
Yeah,
Can we get another one in?
I think we have one more from Kevin Michael Sports. My Dodgers are taking this. My Dodgers. I didn't know Kevin was a Dodgers fan until right now. But Kevin likes the Dodgers. I know a lot of people like the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers.
As you should like the Dodgers.
And I agree with Kevin. I really like the Dodgers to take this home in 7. I almost want to say in 6. I've gone back for 6 or 7 games. Either way, the Dodgers win, in my opinion, just because, like I said, that bullpen's so strong. And the other thing I just haven't mentioned as much. The only thing I've mentioned as much is their lineup. They can hit for power, they can hit for average, and they got plenty of speed on the base paths. But I think that's all.
I think that's all we have today for the World Series, but you can come back with us next week for more on the World Series and more in the world of sports.
Come back Tuesdays, baby, 8 o'clock for more NSEN. I'm Elijah Campbell.
And I'm Calvin Smith.
Take it easy, Rutherford County.
Everyone deserves to have a decent place to live.
Everyone. Todos.
When a future homeowner partners with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a home, they build a better future for themselves and their families.
For my family.
Para po sa pamilya ko.
Por mi familia.
With a little help, we all have the potential to stand on our own. Through shelter, we empower. Visit habitat.org to provide help to families like these today.
Time is the one thing that we want more of as a St. Jude parent. Without the donors, I wouldn't have my Audrey.
El que St. Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we gonna do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
They take care of our housing. They take care of our food. In addition to the best medical treatment that my daughter could ever have. So it allows me to focus on my daughter and getting her better.
Your seat cushion can be used to grant wishes.
Who said that? Hello?
Really can, you know.
You talking to me?
Sure am. Because the airline miles you earn and donate to Make-A-Wish can help send thousands of kids on their wish trips. So donate to Make-A-Wish today.
You really should, you know. You really should.
And give wishes wings. Because wishes work wonders.
Welcome back to NSEN. The joke here, Vic, is on me because we're not done yet. We still have one more segment. We have more tweets to read. Who can quit the show when we have more tweets to read?
Yeah, the show couldn't end without me anyway.
Exactly. I knew something was missing. Something was missing.
So yes, please keep tweeting us your questions, and we're actually going to do a couple of NFL pick'em tweets right now. So if you could send us in your questions about this weekend's in the pro football. You know, big Sunday coming up this week.
We do. No Titans games, unfortunately. They have a bye week. Let's kick it over to Marthany. Marthany, our NFL tweet reader, what you got for us?
All right. Thanks, Elijah and Vic. We're going to go over here to these NFL tweets right now, starting off with Lamonte Solomon here, Sappy Wappy. Since the Raiders have gotten a big win over the Chiefs, could it lead them to a playoff berth? I mean, started off 2-0, having 4 straight losses, missing your starting quarterback. But now at 3-4, the Broncos not looking too hot. Chiefs have lost a couple of games. I mean, I wouldn't count the Raiders out just yet, but I mean, it's so many good teams right now in the AFC. They slick have a big mountain to climb, but I would not count them out just yet because that offense can get going like they did last Thursday night. Anybody can get beat. So we're going to move over to our next tweet here at Rusty Ellis. 13, it says, are the Falcons experiencing a Super Bowl hangover? They've been driving the struggle bus lately. Rusty, I tell you, man, I'm a Falcons fan. I agree with you. I think now that they're suffering that Super Bowl hangover. They started out 3-0. They look like, okay, everything is fine. There's no Super Bowl hangover. But after that loss to the Bills, only managed 17 points there. They blew a 17-0 lead to the Dolphins and Jake Cutler, and then only managing to get 7 points against that struggling Patriots defense. Right now, bad play calling, not executing. I'm a little worried. If you're a Falcons fan, I would be a little worried right now sitting at 3-3 and you have no division games left. I mean, well, you have some division games left. So coming up, maybe, but right now right now I think they are experiencing the Super Bowl hangover. All right, next tweet right here comes from _Mike DJ D Jr. It says, another Falcons tweet. What do the Falcons have to do to get out of the slump that they are in? First thing first, you have to feed that man Julio Jones, that ball. That's plain and simple. You got to find a way to get him the ball, move formations around. You have a plethora of weapons. You have one of the best running back tandems in the league, a top 10 quarterback, a decent wide receiver core. Find the ways to get these guys the ball. I mean, it's just, I know it's only one football, a lot of weapons, and you don't know what to do, but just find a way to get those guys the ball. Defense is playing well, and like I mentioned earlier, you still have all 6 of your division games still left, so it's not quite over yet for the Falcons. Let's go to another tweet right here. It says from David James. Oh, this is a good one right here. It says, David_James20. Who wins first, Browns or 49ers? Oh, man, that's a tough one right there. I would probably have to say just because of how competitive most of the 49ers games has been, besides from last week against the Cowboys, I would probably right now, I would say the 49ers at first, but they made this switch from Brian Hoyer to rookie C.J. Beathard, and he didn't fare out too well against the Cowboys, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns, I'm going to go out and say that the Browns would get the win before the 49ers would. Matter of fact, for that question, I want to even go ahead and ask the guys at the desk. Elijah, Vic, who do y'all think going to win that first game between the Browns and the 49ers?
It's hard for them to both go winless, isn't it?
I don't know. Martin, I'm going to have to agree with you with the 49ers. You know, looking at their schedule, a lot of their games were very close, like you said, except for that last loss against the Cowboys. And with the Browns, on the other hand, it's the Browns. What more can I say?
I'll have to go Browns. Yeah, you make a point. A good point is in the Browns find a way to lose. Every great teams find ways to win. Well, the Browns historically find ways to lose a lot of games. And I like Myles Garrett a lot, so I want to pick the Browns just to show them a little love. And I really like Myles Garrett a lot. He's had an incredible first couple of games to his rookie season.
So, Martin, do you have any more tweets that you want to read?
All right, yeah, man, we got one more tweet right here, and it's going to come right here once again from @Sappy_Wappy. It says, Jay Cutler hurt, surprised, or nah? Honestly, no, I'm not surprised. I mean, I hate it for him, though, because it looked like he was about to start picking it up a little bit for the Dolphins. but they're going with Matt Moore, which I think that's who they should have went with from the jump anyway, instead of signing him off the streets from Fox. So I'm not surprised that Jay Cutler is hurt. And we got one more final tweet right here. It's going to be a shout-out right here. It comes from @_DH9_. It says, happy birthday to Darius Horton to his 22nd birthday last week. Hey, man, happy birthday, Darius. I hope you lived it up. Having a great time, man. 22 is a great age to be a part of, man. You 1 year closer to that Jordan year. I'm going to send it back over to Elijah and Vic over at the desk. That's all for the tweets today.
Thank you, Marthany. And before we get out of here, we actually had one more birthday shout-out. Shout-out to the light skin himself, Drizzy Drake.
Oh, it's Drake's birthday?
Yes, it is Drake's birthday. 31 today. But that's all the time we had today. We're going to actually end the show for good this time.
We are, yeah. It's a good thing you took this and not me. Take it easy, Rutherford County, and get it right this time.